The mistake that a lot of the Muslims do is that they treat all of their udhiyah as one, which is wrong. So if you offer cheap stuff, then this represents that you have weak iman. No, after the prayer is over, people do not have to stay and listen to the khutbah, to the oration. They can leave. What is the ruling on saving and keeping part of the udhiyah in my refrigerator? What is the age of Musinna, Sheikh? Give me something that I can understand. No problem. What should I do with my udhiyah? Well, the sunnah is to eat from it. The sunnah is to give people I love from it. And the sunnah is to give the poor parts of it, as mentioned in the Quran. Allah Azza wa Jal ordered us to eat from it and to feed the poor and the needy. So this is part of the sunnah. Now, Salama ibn al-Akwa, may Allah be pleased with him, said that the Prophet ﷺ said, eat, feed, and save. So I can do this, but what should I do with the portions of it? This is an issue of dispute among scholars. What about after the slaughtering? What should I do with the animal's skin? Well, definitely you're not going to eat it. So there's no problem in donating it, in giving it as a gift to a charity organization that would sell it and benefit from its price. But you may not sell it. Okay, so can I, after the slaughtering is over, give the skin to the butcher who slaughtered it in exchange for his fees? The answer is no. The Prophet ﷺ said to Ali, and Ali says that the Prophet ordered me to give charity from the hadi, the sacrifice of its meat, of its skin, of everything, but not to give the butcher anything of it in exchange for his fees. And the Prophet said, we will give him from our own pocket. So this udhiyah was given to Allah Azza wa Jal. And we cannot take part of it and give it to the butcher in exchange for the slaughtering, because this is a form of selling part of it, and this is not permissible. I don't have money. So what should I do? Everybody's slaughtering udhiyah. Everybody's offering the sacrifice. Well, if you are able to pay it off, there's no problem in borrowing and offering udhiyah now and pay it later on. As in the case of an employee who gets his salary on monthly basis. So if you borrow to offer the udhiyah, anticipating that your salary is going to come after a couple of weeks and then pay off your debt, there's no problem. If you can buy it through installments in a halal way, there is no problem. But if you are truly poor and you do not have the means to pay your loan back, then it is not at all recommended for you to occupy yourself with a debt that you do not have the means to pay it off. It does not become mandatory upon you, not even recommended. So skip it, and next year, inshallah, Allah will give you the means to do that. When you offer sacrifice to Allah Azza wa Jal, you have to be really careful, because whatever you offer represents your iman. So if you offer cheap stuff, then this represents that you have weak iman. You have to select the best, as we've stated that earlier. But the Prophet ﷺ had made 4 defects in an udhiyah that does not make it valid to offer. So one of them, if present in the animal, then you cannot offer it as slaughter. 1, an obvious defect in one eye. So if this animal has an eye that is sunken in its socket, or if it sticks out like a button, or it is white and absolutely defective, you cannot offer this as an udhiyah. 2, if it is obvious sickness in it, so it is always in high fever, it is always not capable of grazing with other animals, doesn't have a good appetite, it cannot manage to be healthy, and you can see that this doesn't work with the udhiyah. It is a must that you begin at the prescribed time and end before the time ends. So when does the prescribed time for offering your udhiyah start? It starts after the conclusion, after the Salat of Eid finishes. So we know that the Salat of Eid is first, 2 rak'ahs, then we have the khutbah. No, after the prayer is over, people do not have to stay and listen to the khutbah, to the oration. They can leave. So they can start to slaughter then. Because the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, the first thing we do on the day of Eid is we pray. Then we shall go and slaughter our sacrifice. Whoever does this, he has attained our sunnah. So if you slaughter before the prayer of Eid, your slaughter is invalid. And this is meat that you can eat, but it's not your sacrifice. The third defect is when it's obviously laming, when it lames, if there is lameness. So Sheikh, we're not going to race with it. Yeah, you're not going to race with it, but it won't be able to cope with other animals in grazing. So this would impact the way it grazes. And when you look at it walking and limping, you would not choose it for your own. So how dare you choose it for Allah Azza wa Jal? And finally, the fourth defect in it, when it's emaciation. And this means that it's so skinny, there is no marrow in the bones. And this is something, again, when you look at it, you wouldn't give it to your guests. You wouldn't offer it to your relatives. How dare you offer it to Allah the Almighty? So these 4 defects would render a sacrifice invalid. Are we limited to these defects? No. There can be something even more worse. So a one-eyed animal is invalid, but if it is blind totally, then this is even worse. A sick animal or a very skinny animal is not valid, but if it is about to die, or a dying animal due to this illness that it has, definitely this would not do. If an animal is not limping, but it has one of its limbs amputated, then definitely she is, or it is, worse than a lame animal. So what is the ruling on an animal that has a hole in its ears, or they cut it either through the length or the width, the ears themselves, or some of its teeth had fallen down, or its horn was broken? Offering it as an udhiyah is valid, but this is not the best you can get. So it is makruh, it is disliked to offer, but it does the job. It is permissible for you to offer. It depends on how close you want to get to Allah Azza wa Jal. What is the ruling on saving and keeping part of the udhiyah in my refrigerator? That's quite weird. Why are you asking? Well, because there is a hadith I read where the Prophet ﷺ prohibited the Muslims from saving the meat of the udhiyah for more than 3 days. Oh yeah, this is true, but this was at the beginning of Islam when people did not have enough to eat. So the Prophet ﷺ told them not to save anything, not to dry any of the meat and keep it for the whole year. Rather, give it to those who need it. But afterwards, this ruling was abrogated. So the following year, the Prophet ﷺ permitted them to save it and to keep it, because they asked him, should we do the same that we have done last year? And he said, no. You can eat, you can feed, and you can save it, because last year people were struggling and suffering, and I wanted you to collaborate with them and help one another. Now it is totally permissible to save. So can we sacrifice any type of animal? The answer is no. There is a specific age which is the minimum, and this is that all animals must be in the age of musinnah. What is the age of musinnah, Sheikh? Give me something that I can understand. No problem. The minimum age of camels is 5 years. So 5 years and above is okay. 4 years and 11 months is not okay. This does not suffice. What about from cows? Cows, 2 years and above. So the minimum is 2 years. What about goats? Goats, the minimum is 1 year. Above is okay. Less, it's not okay. What about sheep? Sheep is an exception. Usually, sheep should have been a year old and more. But it is an exception where the Prophet ﷺ said that al-jadha, which is 6 months of age and above. You cannot slaughter or sacrifice something that is below that. And this age is what you recommended to do. It is not permissible to go below it, but it is permissible to go above it, and Allah knows best. It is mandatory to give part of it, that is your udhiyah, in charity. And Allah said in the Quran, so eat from it and feed the needy and the poor. Now, the mistake that a lot of the Muslims do is that they treat all of their udhiyah as one, which is wrong. So if I have 3 rams and I'm offering udhiyah with 3 rams, some people take 1 ram fully for themselves and they give a 2nd ram fully to charity, and the 3rd ram they give it fully as gifts. And this is wrong. They should take 1/3 of each for their own, and 1/3 of each for charity, and 1/3 of each to give as gifts. Not to treat it all as meat, and I take 1 full for this and 1 full for that. This is wrong. People ask, what is the ruling of udhiyah? And the scholars have differed upon this ruling. The vast majority of Muslims say that it is an emphatic sunnah, a highly recommended sunnah. Some portion of the scholars went to say that it is mandatory. And this is the opinion of Abu Hanifa and one of the narrations of Imam Malik and Imam Ahmad. This is the choice of Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah. So it is not befitting for a Muslim who's capable financially not to offer it. However, the most authentic opinion to gather all different opinions is that it is mandatory upon those who are financially capable. Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him, said, whoever has the financial ability and he does not offer the udhiyah, then he should not approach our musalla where we offer Eid prayer. But this is not a hadith related to the Prophet ﷺ. This is the opinion of Abu Hurairah. May Allah Azza wa Jal be pleased with him. The scholars disputed how to distribute, and they all agree that it is highly recommended to eat from it, like the Prophet did ﷺ, to give as gifts, and to feed the poor from it. So the percentage is not fixed. But a lot of the companions preferred that it is to be divided into 3/3. A third to eat from, a third to give to relatives and loved ones, and a third to give to the poor. This was narrated by Ibn Mas'ud, Ibn Umar, and other companions. May Allah be pleased with them all. Abu Ja'far al-Nahas said the majority of scholars, including Ibn Mas'ud, Ibn Umar, and Ata and Thawri, they recommend that it is divided into 3 types. And if he ate and consumed half of it or more than a third, there's no problem in that at all. So we learned that the time of Udhiyah is after the Eid prayer. When does it end? Well, scholars say that the end time for offering your Udhiyah is the sunset of the last 3rd day of the days of Tashriq. What is the day of Tashriq, Sheikh? We have 4 days in Eid al-Adha. The first day is the day of Eid, known as Eid al-Adha, Yawm al-Nahar, the day of slaughtering. And this is the 10th of the Hijjah. Then we have the first day, which is the 11th, the 12th, and the 13th of Dhul Hijjah. This 13th day, you still can slaughter before sunset. When the sun sets, it's over. Okay, but what is the best time of all? The best time of all is the day of Eid, after the prayer of Eid. And if not possible, then in the evening. If not possible, then on the 11th, on the 12th, on the 13th, before sunset. The earlier, the better. And to do it during the daytime is better than doing it on the night time. And inshallah, once you do it, then it is valid. What about if it's missed? The sun had already set on the 13th day. Then in this case, you've lost the opportunity to offer your sacrifice, your udhiyah on time, and it is invalid. But if someone had made a vow to offer it, then he has to offer it even after sunset, because he's fulfilling his vow commitment, and he has to distribute the meat as usual. If the ear or the horns or the tail or the buttocks of a sheep does not exist by birth, then this is valid without a problem, inshallah. But if it is introduced to it, so some people come to the ears of their sheep and they cut it with scissors or put holes into it, so in a form or a way to identify it. This is makruh, this is disliked, yet it works, it is possible, except for a sheep that has lost its buttocks, the fat that it has underneath the tail, because this would make it a defect, and people, when they buy a sheep and it doesn't have this part of it, which is an important part, they would not accept it for themselves.